Okay, imagine for a minute that there was somebody walking along in the park and they tripped. So here he is mid-fall, arms flailing, um, and he dusts himself off. He stands up and looks around to see if anyone saw him fall, and little does he know, or maybe he does know, that there were two people watching. And they were over here sitting on a park bench. I will draw them two different colors. Okay, so these two people saw him fall. And they have slightly different evaluations of what happened here. This is the topic of our discussion now. This is just the action. This is what we're actually talking about. So this guy on our left, he might say that the guy was clumsy. That would be his kind of evaluation of the event. He would say, "Oh, this guy is a clumsy person. He doesn't take his time. He doesn't look where he's walking. It was his fault that he fell." Or maybe not quite so mean, but he would say that this guy has a problem, so to speak. And then the other guy would be a little more compassionate, and he would say, "Oh, maybe he was in a hurry." He would say, "Oh, there was a rock in front of him and he fell, or he tripped on a crack." He would be thinking about the situation. I guess situation. The situation that led to the man tripping. And then this guy, I guess this was what I should have wrote in the first place, is he would attribute it to the person. He would say it was a personal flaw. Personal fault, I guess. Fault. And so the difference between these two individuals, they make slightly different assessments. They have a little bit different paradigm, I guess, a different way of looking at what happened. I should give this guy eyes too. And the difference that we're trying to distinguish, or that I'm trying to relate to you, is that this guy makes the fundamental attribution attribution error. How do you spell error? Two R's and then another R. Okay. So this is sort of a big vocabulary term that is intimidating and doesn't really sound like what it's trying to convey to us. But if we kind of break it apart, we can say fundamental is like the foundation. I think that's the same root word. So the foundation, everything else is built on that. So if you make an error in your fundamental attribution, that means all your actions that follow from it will be biased also. Like the foundation of a house, you dig a hole and then you build the house on top. That's the foundation or the fundamental. And then attribution just means what you attribute the action or the consequence to. So attribution, this guy attributes the problem to the rock, or he might attribute it to the person who was standing behind this guy and pushed him. There's the guy pushing. This guy's a jerk. So, that's the attribution. And then the error is sort of another bias term. It's saying you made an error, that this guy made an error, the blue person, and the error was that he attributed it to the person. So, the error is that he said, "Oh, this guy was clumsy," and that it was his fault that he fell. And why would it be? Why would he want to fall? I guess is why it's an error. There's always a situational reason. Maybe they have impairment in their brainstem and he is clumsy, but it's not. I don't know. That's kind of a gray area, but like I said, I gave examples. He might have been pushed. He might have tripped on a rock or a crack in the sidewalk. He might be in a hurry. Maybe there's an emergency over in this direction. I should Maybe there's an emergency over here that he's trying to run to, or to hurry to, and he wasn't just running for no reason. So this guy, this brown salmon-colored guy, whatever, would be not making the fundamental attribution error. I want to be clear about that. This guy is, I don't want to say he's correct, but he's at least not doing what this concept says. He's not blaming the person for what happened to the purple man. He's not blaming the purple man for what's actually a situational variable. So one interesting thing that always comes up when you're talking about the fundamental attribution error is that in different cultures, there's different cultures are more likely to make this. This is the blue guy is kind of representative of Western cultures. America and the kind of first world or civilized. I don't want to use the wrong word here, but actually, to be more specific, this is collective. What's the individualistic cultures. That's probably what I should have said in the first place. But the individualist cultures are the ones who are the cultures that really put a lot of value on being your best and living up to your personal potential and sort of competition in a way, and just, what makes me special, what makes me unique. That all describes individualistic cultures. So, I would say in America we definitely have this, because we always have to personalize everything. If we, go to a restaurant, we have to say, oh, and don't give me tomatoes and whatever. But then on the opposite side, this brown guy is representing collectivist cultures. And again, I'm not trying to put any I'm not trying to offend anyone by this. It's just trends or different frames of thinking. And again, the word error is kind of maybe not the best word that they could use. I think there are other words, but this is the one that stuck, the FAE, fundamental attribution error. So in collectivist cultures, the value is, rather than on the individual, it's kind of on how well do you fit into the society, and how well do you do your job as part of the bigger machine, rather than, oh, did you invent Microsoft? That's really cool of you to do. It's more like, are you a good lawyer? Are you a good policeman? Do you contribute to the collective whole? Do you bring honor to your family? These are all the questions. And so, in the individual frame of mind, you can see why you would say, oh, this guy's individual characteristic is that he's clumsy. Right? You would say, oh, I have this value of not being clumsy and being very careful when I'm walking. This guy doesn't have the value, so we're different, and they're drawing distinctions between people because they're individual, and or between individuals. And then the collectivist culture will say, oh, we're all human, we're all kind of the same, and I don't think he meant to fall. That would be stupid. So, I can try to make an excuse for him. I can try to rationalize his behavior. I can say, oh, well, he probably had a rock there. I don't see any cracks in the sidewalk, but I'm sure he tripped on something. Or they can say, oh, this other guy might have pushed him, or they come up with some convoluted story of, oh, there's someone with a medical emergency over here, and he's rushing to help, and he's doing a good job. So I've hopefully done enough examples that you at least have some kernel of this. It's something that is something you need to know for psychology class, and it's also just kind of a different perspective on how we live and how we look at other people, because I kind of don't like this blue guy's way of thought. I don't think it's fair to just label someone as clumsy because they fell one time and you happen to see it. I think giving people the benefit of the doubt over here on this side is a better way to go about when you see something like that, and then you're more inclined to go help them or something. So I think that's about as much as I can possibly talk about fundamental attribution error. So there you go.